Hello, this is Ricky of Shing TS. Making this video basically talk about the budo series blades and what we're trying to do with these type of swords that we're making. First off, I want to explain something a lot of people may not understand. What Shing TS is representing and what we're trying to do is, first off, Shing TS is not a sword importer and import Chinese-made katanas into the United States with different fittings or whatnot, and selling them for $200, $300, $400, $500 or $1,000 even, or anything of that nature. The only reason why that it may give people some of this impression is mainly has to do with the material we use. We only have minimum amount of resources that we use compared to other manufacturers, mainly because they also import katanas from China. So there is not going to be a whole bunch of changes there or anything of that nature. Now, the whole thing, what we're trying to do a little bit different though, is we're trying to make blades with different type of geometry. Now, what I'm saying by geometry is basically the edge, overall blade design. Now, what I mean by that is basically you have a lot of katana makers on the market today, or sword makers on the market today, where they're often played by the hype of how tough their blade is. Most of the time, the trick they use is use a thick blade with a lot of meat on the edge. Basically, with more volume on the metal itself, it provides a tougher metal. It's not necessarily because it's a good metal, it's just because it's got a lot of metal on it. So when you cut into something hard or hit against something, the sword tends to not to break. This is not only from manufacturers, it's been done since the beginning of time, and it's a common thing. If you go on any website research about niku or any type of thing, they'll tell you if you don't have a lot of niku, which is not a lot of thickness and volume on the edge itself, it cuts better, but it's weaker. When you have a lot of meat on the edge, it doesn't cut as good, but it's tougher. Just common sense. You can't get away with it. So what we're trying to do with the budo series blades, in the beginning there was a lot of misunderstanding. Is a lot of people thinking that we're trying to sell, some type of super steel that's unbreakable, or let's see, what else, other impression we have. Try to think of it, just some magic secret recipe or anything like that. Now, first off, that is not the case at all. That's not what we're trying to say. The only reason why that I mentioned about the steel's capability is because we're creating something different than other people. Now, what I mean by that is this: we're trying to create a blade that has maximum cutting ability. Basically, it's a thin profile geometry without a lot of meat, and that can cut, mats or any type of targets, soft targets, with ease, because due to the narrow geometry and the ease of penetration. But yet, due to the steel features, that it can also cut hard targets and bang on hard targets without breaking. Now, the reason why we started doing this, because in the beginning when we started making our wing gliders, one main thing is that people were complaining is, okay, your blades cuts good. It can do world record cuts on mats or whatever, this and that. But it doesn't matter, because main thing is it's not battle ready. When you cut bamboos or any type of hard targets, it'll chip and nick. And you know what? They're right. They're absolutely right. We're using T10 steel, which is brittle, hard but brittle. Can get really sharp and easy to slice through targets and mats or whatever. It's great. But the whole problem is during initial testing on bamboos, I can cut probably, on John's bamboos, 5, 6, 7 of them is fine. But when you get to about 9, 10, 11, 12, what happened? The blade nicks, and the worst part, chips. So it cannot handle hard targets. I mean, we tested it, and so that's why we tell our customer, you cannot handle hard targets with the wind gliders. That's not its purpose. It's made for trick cutting and this and that, you know. But, you know, obviously we get a lot of customer asking, you know, hey, can you make a well-tuned cutter, you know, that also be able to do these real easy cuts on mats, but also able to handle hard targets like bamboos, dolls, and stuff like that. Now, this is when we start thinking in our head, now how do we approach these type of requests, because it's really difficult. Because it goes back to what we're talking about is if you want cutting ability, then you kind of lose, you know, rigidity. If you want rigidity and toughness, you lose cutting ability. It's really hard to find the balance in between. So that's why we started researching, you know, on different type of metal, you know, different type of, you know, forging, processing, or whatever, this and that, whatnot. So, you know, after we search for a while, basically it comes down to it, because I'm Chinese, and I can go on Chinese websites and I can search, see different manufacturers, different companies, has different type of metal, what they do, this and that, discussions, whatnot. And I call these people up, you know, because what I have is what they call a phone card. A phone card, basically all it is you know, you type in a number and your passcode, and then you type whatever, I mean, dial in whatever phone number that you want to dial in, and then you just call these companies and research, and I research days, nights, calling, you know, talking to different forgers, this and that, back and forth. Hey, is it possible to make something like this? Can we do something like this? I mean, this is something that's really important, you know, to me personally, because I kind of want to break the hype. I want to say, you know what, I don't need a lot of meat, you know, and a lot of, you know, bevel or niku on the edge, you know, for our blades to cut through bamboos and dolls without any type of issues. I need something solid, you know. I mean, that's, you know, that we can really get on with it, you know. And comes down to it, you know, we end up looking, you know, there isn't much options here and there. We just have to start buying our own steel, and then we start buying our own steel from different companies, manufacturers that does high alloy steel for industrial uses, and then we try them out. We talk to our forgers. We talk to, I don't know how many forgers I talk to. I mean, a lot of forgers. We finally find one that's willing to work with us. The only reason why they're willing to work with us because they're doing exactly the same thing as I am. They're trying to discover a new way of making blades that's thinner, with a narrow entry angle for best cutting ability, you're able to handle a lot of hard targets. So the goal is met because of that. So through several times trial and error, and we have what we have now, the budo series blades. Now these steel in the process, it's quite expensive. When I bring these blades in, you know, I'm selling them pretty much at cost. One main thing why I'm selling it cheap, because a lot of people tell me, well, if you're selling these type of blades as you describe it, they usually cost around $1,200, and they do cost about that much, believe it or not. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to build a name. You know, we're trying to get these blades out to people as low price as we can. Basically let people try it out to see what we're talking about, and it has nothing to do with you know, making money or ripping people off or whatever people say, and then try to whatever. Because see, we invest a lot of time and effort in this. I'm not going to go and then just tell people that, hey, look, this is what I did, and here's a steel content, so please copy it and then make another sword just like it. I'm not going to do that. That's retarded. Why would I do that? the Hanwei bamboo mat. This is our budo blade. Okay, I'm about to do an experiment. Basically, I'm cutting 2 mats. Here's one. You can see 2 right there. Okay, that's 1 mat, 2 mat. And then here's obviously the fold. Let me pull it out so you guys can see. Okay, so that's 1, and that's 2 mats. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll them up. I'm going to try to cut it with one hand with a budo blade. Okay, just so you can see, this is 1 row, and I'm about to roll the other one over it. That's 2 rows. Budo blade. That's the difference in geometry. Now the Hanwei bamboo mat. Look like it's not gonna get it. Try the budo. Two mats.
Okay, so this is the last remaining mat on that freestand cut. It's kind of raining out there pretty good, so I went and hurry up and then just cut it. But just to give you a clear view, it was a clean cut through the mat all the way through. And then just so you can see, it's one. That's one mat. Okay. And then this is the second mat. So this basically kind of shows exactly what I'm talking about, as in like what we're doing is we're making basically special cutters, precision cutters on these budo blades that are also able to handle hard targets, cutting bamboos and stuff like that. It just has that advantage when you're doing any type of JSA, any type of trick cutting. Now when you use the bamboo mat mainly because it was advertised for a hard target due to the high alloy content. I'm pretty sure it cuts wire as well, but wire provides less resistance. So it has a really beefy edge. If in toughness comparison, I would bet the bamboo mat will win over this blade any day. But the only way to really compare, this is really not fair. What's really fair, if this blade has the same amount of meat as the bamboo mat, they will be a fair match. But the whole thing basically is not saying bamboo mat is a bad sword. It's a really good sword. I like it a lot. But it just cannot perform as well as the type of cutting I need. I need a blade something like this that can provide the type of cutting I need. Also able to handle hard targets like bamboos or whatever, dolls and stuff like that. So all around, I would pick this sword over that, not because I make this sword, it's just simply because it cuts better on stuff you cut. I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean, I'm not going to go and then cut metal plates with a bamboo mat or, go do some crazy stuff and then try to attempt the Isao Machi cutting the metal pole with it or anything of that nature. I'm pretty sure this can handle it just fine. You want to go hammer on stuff or whatever, I'm pretty sure take it. It's a different blade, but we're using the high alloy steel as our advantage to thin out the blade, so therefore it can take out mats or any type of those kind of things, soft targets, with ease. And yet we provide the opportunity for you to also cut with hardened bamboos, dry yellow bamboos, wooden dolls, those type of things, be able to handle it. So that's the whole point of this project, of the budo series blades. Really nothing more to say about that. I mean, if you don't believe me on my testing, and then you're owner of a bamboo mat, go ahead and take a bamboo mat and then try to cut 2 mats with one hand. Be as straight as you can, and let me know how it turned out. Maybe I just got a bad one. By the way, I just want to mention that all tests are done with tatami omote, real tatami omote. You can see the weaving and the color, the green color. It's tatami omote rather than waras. Mainly, we choose to use tatami omote in carries and sales tatami omote because tatami omote is the most accurate way to test blade geometry. If you have a blade geometry that is out of whack or too thick or beveled, this thing will feel it right away. It just doesn't cut or slice through real easy. Waras aren't a good way to test blades. It's good for trick cutting. If your whole objective is to trick cut, there's no difference cutting waras or tatami omote with a good geometry blade. But if you're testing a blade's cutting ability, like what I just did here, tatami omote is the best way to go because y'all stop a poor geometry or too thick or too beefy blade in its tracks, without a question. I mean, that's just how things are. Best way to test a blade is not bottles. It's not really bamboos or anything like that. In bamboos, you can feel the difference. Mainly bamboo is a hard target, and best way to test it probably is tatami omote, because this thing will stop a blade in its tracks if it's if it's not able to penetrate easily due to geometry and sharpness.
Okay, so basically, this is after I did all the tests and refer back to the first video I made talking about the budo blades. Comes down to it, we're taking advantage of the high alloy steel, the tougher steel, by thinning it out, able to handle hard targets, and still doing superb on soft targets. On bamboo mat's design is because they're advertised that the thing could cut a lot of hard targets and it's high alloy steel. So they in turn thicken the edge, widen the geometry on the blade, therefore makes it harder for softer targets. So this is the thing I'm talking about. When you have a wider geometry, it's very difficult to cut your targets, mainly just because how wide it is, it's harder to penetrate. When you have a thinner geometry, it's easier to penetrate, easier to cut. And that's what the budo blades are. They have a much thinner geometry. It's not necessarily saying it's a better sword. I mean, I would never say that it's a better sword. I would say it's a better cutter. Simply, using the video to prove my point. And, if in toughness-wise, I would say the bamboo mat, like I said in the previous video, will be much tougher, probably just because how thick it is. And compared to the bamboo mat, compared to the budo blade, how thin it is. And it's just, I would show it on video, but the thing is, without looking at it personally, one can really tell due to the how the blade is curving. But that's just how things are. The reason why they don't want to make it thin blade, because they don't want to take the risk telling people, okay, it's a high alloy steel, it's tough, but when you're making it thin, you're taking a risk of it chipping and nicks, on bamboos and stuff like that. And what we're doing is we're not afraid. This is the whole point. We're not afraid to actually thin it out and take advantage of our high alloy steel. And that's the whole point of that. And then refers back to the first video also I was talking about, we're not just an importer for Chinese-made katanas. What we're doing is we're designers. We design different type of blades, and we have them custom made with our forges that we work with. We don't just order pre-made stuff and then bring them into the United States and sell them, put different things on them, and then say, hey, and make up some bunch of stories, how great this blade is, this and that, mumbo jumbo, bunch of weird stuff that people were talking like we do that, which is very awkward, because every single thing that we do sell is we back it up with tests. And when we say tests, a lot of people may think, well, they're just going to cut some bamboos. And no. We're not just cutting some bamboos. We're going to go through a forest if we have to. John cut 87 bamboos. 87 is a lot. And he cut every weekend as much as he could. Dry yellow bamboos, dolls, whatever. He cut and cut. Actually, I just talked to him. And he told me he actually cut 10, 15 more or something like that before he sent it out to me. So roughly it's around maybe close to 100 bamboos he cut. And that's a lot of work. And I thank John, from the bottom of my heart that he did all this. Because this whole thing is to ensure the test what we call is cutting ability and durability. Durability means how long these blades would last in continuously cutting hard targets, soft targets, being used, all the time. With the ito come loose, with the tuba come loose, with the blade chip after a certain amount of bamboos. All these are data, that we need to improve our product. With the blade dull up really fast, and how long does it take to dull up? All this different type of research and development. And it was kind of funny that people were actually making fun of us when we say we research and develop. When I say that, I literally mean it. It means we research and we try to develop better product. And the
the budo blade is the ending result of it. And that is that.